On this week's FPL Happy Hour.
Going to happen the second game week. Apparently, Kane came off with a back injury, but I think Conte came out and said today that he would play him even if he had one leg or something.
Yeah. He's like, he has to play.
Great. Hello and welcome to FPL Happy Hour, episode 31 of season 3, with myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
Myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Our first pre-recorded show for a long time. We had our first live the other day. It's good to be back now.
Yeah, nice to not have the pressure of being live and being able to just sit and chat.
Yeah.
Not have to worry about the chat on YouTube.
And it's right in the middle of chip season as well.
Yeah, well, we're going into what seems to be sort of a heavy part of it, especially after the fixture announcements on Friday late afternoon. It caught everyone off guard a little bit, didn't it?
Well, yeah, because obviously we recorded a couple of days before. I think it was on Wednesday night, didn't we? And nothing sort of like wild cards in our mind, nothing like that. It was all kind of like -4s, -8s. Suddenly these moves came about on Friday, these fixture changes at 4 o'clock, and actually everything changed in terms of the plan. And for me, I ended up wildcarding on Friday. So I hadn't planned to do it, and the reason why I did it is just because I looked at the plan like nard, and I went through it, and it just worked out a lot better for me and my team, considering I'd already used my triple captain on Bowen, and I've used my bench boost, so I don't have those two chips, so I didn't need to worry about Salah, and actually wildcard just worked out better for me. So yeah, decided to go against taking -4s and -8s and wildcard, and now this week we're both on a free hit now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it worked out all right for you in the end, because it meant you could kind of take a step rather than have to sit there and just let the game week pass by. You could make a step and start to work towards building for the future game weeks. I know we've got the doubles now in 28, where we've got a lot of doubles. We've got a lot of doubles in 29. We know that 30 we're going to have blanks. 33 we're going to have blanks. So you were able to sort of start building in towards that. And whilst I'm with my wildcard, I still don't know when I'm going to use it. I hit my triple captainship as planned this week, but for me it was, as we spoke about on the live stream, I could not see a better opportunity to use that triple captainship when you've got the best player in the game with possibly the best ever double game week fixture combination that you could imagine. And it started to pay off. He's got a return. Let's hope he gets some more. Which, the way that Leeds played against United on Sunday, I think there's some returns in it for Mo on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, well, tonight I guess the best thing for us to do, obviously we're both on free hits, so we thought the best thing tonight would be just to do a free hit special. But if you're not on a free hit, it's still going to be worthwhile listening to, because what we'll be discussing is the players that is worth bringing in, either on a free hit or even not on a free hit. And then hopefully that will, there'll be some players that double in 28 or 29 that you might want to bring in if you're not on a free hit. So what we're going to do is we're going to be going through each of the sides that double each of the sides that are playing, which players we think is worth bringing in, which players we don't think is worth bringing in, and then we'll compare it to your side, Rob, because yours is probably a newer side in terms of deciding whether or not to free hit or not to free hit. So obviously I wildcarded, so my side is slightly different. So when should when should people think actually I'll press the free hit button? How many players is going to be enough, etc. So we'll be doing that today. That's going to be kind of the main focus. But before that, I guess we'll just do a kind of midweek update because we're still like one part through the doubles of how we're doing so far. So did you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first because I'm having a good week for once. Yeah, so I mean, I ummed and ahed about Foster or Gaeta, and I think it was the Chelsea fixture in the end that swung it for me, and then Gaeta, yeah, he's ended up being flagged anyway for the second game, and Foster comes away with a clean sheet, so 6 points from him. Davies didn't do much for his 1 point. TAA benched, or was he not even in the squad? No, he was benched.
Wasn't in the squad.
Oh, he was not. It wasn't in the squad. So that was disappointing. There, Cancelo with just the 1 point, again a bit disappointing. Bowen with just a 1 pointer. Yeah, disappointing result again for West Ham. But Jared Bowen is still the one player in that side that looks like he can come out with returns in any game. So I'm not too worried about him. But other West Ham players, yeah, I've got sort of reserves about going in for at the moment. Saka, yeah, rewarding me for he was my part of my -8 this week. So he comes in return. I brought him in after the Jota injury on Wednesday. Bruno gets a return. I was always expecting, I think, some returns of some form from him against Leeds. Salah, my triple captain, along with insane numbers in my mini league. I think it was there was 57% of the players use their triple captainship. So it's like out of 270 odd players, 135 of them use their triple captainship, and only 10 of them didn't put it on Mohamed Salah. 9 of them put it on TAA, and 1 put it on Mane. Yeah, so that one person on Mane did all right. Yeah, those other 9 are praying for a miracle, I think, with the TAA triple captaincy. Jimenez, another person that came in this week, got a return. Aggrieved a little bit that with all the pressure that Wolves seem to put on Leicester, especially in like the first 25 minutes, half an hour on Sunday afternoon, he didn't come out with more than just the assist. Yeah, really hoped that he would have grabbed the goal in there as well. But I'll take the assist. It's another return. Josh King, nothing, and Emmanuel Dennis finally gets to return. It seems like forever, but he's finally got there. So yeah, sitting on 77 points with my -8, 69 points. It's a rank rise of about 110k from 470 to 360, I think. So yeah, it's a good week. Hopefully, like if Davies can get a return on Wednesday evening of some form, if TAA can come out and do something as well, and then if Salah can just add to what he's already done, then I think it's going to be a very good week. I'm not too worried now about Foster or Saka because that was kind of what I expect. I wanted something like that from them for the game week, so I'm not too worried about anything more that they get down as a bonus. Jimenez, maybe I'd want a goal, but like again, I think it's now TAA, Davies, and Salah that are my big players to go.
Nice. Well, good stuff for you. Still 8 doublers to go as well, so maybe
Yeah.
end up on a massive score.
Yeah, I mean that was another reason, like having that number of doublers. I mean, it was the -8 got me there, but having that number of doublers, it meant like even with the changes to the fixtures and everything, I didn't feel I had to go and try and seek out more doublers. I could continue with my plan to triple captain Salah and just play the wild card at another point in the season. How did you get on then?
Well, so I wildcarded, and I'm on 60 points, which is obviously less than you.
It's
And
only
you've got
9
triple
points
captain.
off, isn't it? It's only 9 points
Yeah,
off.
because obviously I didn't take any hits, but I think the main thing with this side is that I've set up for future game weeks, and also I actually looked at it compared to my team that would have been, and the team that I would have played after the hits, it would have been on like 40 points. So
Okay, so it's
it
a
just
nice
shows
gain as well,
kind of,
isn't it?
yeah. So I went with Ramsdale, Robertson, TAA, Tierney, and Sace starting, with Salah captain, Bowen, Rafinha, Saka, Kane, and Jimenez, and then on the bench, Foster, Kilman, Broja, and Ramsey. So
I mean,
I
one kick of a football away from being ahead of me this week with that
yeah, that's true.
Brentford
Yeah,
last goal kick of the game goal. That's 2 clean sheets just wiped out, wasn't it? So
well, that pissed me off. Yeah, to wipe out. I think the main reason why I wildcard is because I didn't have Arsenal in, and I wanted Arsenal defenders, and then so had going up to 93rd minute, keeping a clean sheet, and then them just being wiped out was just soul destroying. Especially in the manner that it happened. That it was given offside, then VAR called it as onside. It was like a proper tilt. So that was annoying. But look, I'm set up for future game weeks. I'm reasonably happy. I've gone from 20k to 23k. So look, it's not the end of the world. And I had said on last week's episode that I was worried about this week because of triple captainers, etc., and people using bench boost. And if I could stay within the top 50k, I would be happy with that. So if to come out at the moment as a grey arrow, I'm quite pleased with that. It means that for game week 27, where I wasn't going to free hit, I'm now going to be free hit in this game week. 28, I'll have at the moment 8 doublers. 29, I'm going to have 7 doublers. And for 30, I've currently got 8 starters. So I don't need to free hit in 30 either. So for the future game weeks, I'm kind of there, even up to like 31. It's 32 to 38. That is, going to be the thing about navigating and working out, because obviously I'm not going to have a wild card, but I still do have an additional free hit. So I can choose to free hit in 33 or 38 still.
yeah, well,
No, sorry, 33 or 36.
yeah, because that big double game week, which we expect to still be 36, like that will be your optimum free hit, wouldn't it? Really, because that's when you could just really go for 11 players that have the best double game week combinations. To try and sort of optimize it. And that's the week that I'm almost certainly going to be using my bench boost. But yeah, you're all set. Any concerns about Rafinha moving forward, though?
No, I don't think so. I think the way that a lot of people had Coutinho instead of Bowen. So I think majority of people that wildcarded, it was 3 Liverpool, 3 Arsenal, 3 Wolves, and then 1 Spurs, 1 Leeds, and then a couple of Villa, and Broja for the bench, etc. I'm not too worried about Rafinha because there's ways to move. I think Leeds double in 28, not 29. So I'll keep Rafinha for the double, and then I can always move him if he's not starting. Obviously, he didn't start against in Man U game, but then he came on and scored. Bowen will probably was going to be Coutinho, but I wasn't impressed with the way that Villa played, and I've got Ramsey. So I really liked the look of Willock on the weekend. I was at the game, and actually Willock played really, really well. They double in 28 and 29. So I think Bowen to Willock could be a really good option, and that's the way that I'm currently leaning towards. Even though Bowen is playing great, and he's the only person at the moment that I think is looking like returning or doing anything for us in that West Ham side, I think it's really difficult to stay away from that double, especially, you know, next 3 games for West Ham are Wolves, Liverpool, and then can't remember who we've got, but Wolves, Liverpool, and is it Villa?
Yeah, you got Villa in 29. Yeah.
Yeah. So versus a double for Newcastle, and you know,
Yeah,
I think I would take Willock for that 4 games over 2.
Would you prefer? I mean, looking at like the Newcastle double, they've got Brighton at home, Southampton away, then they play Chelsea away, Everton away. Would you not prefer like the Coutinho double in 28, Southampton at home, Leeds away, over that Brighton at home, Southampton away?
I'm not convinced with the way that Villa are playing, and I've already got Ramsey. That's why I don't know. I'm thinking whether or not it's worth it. I don't know if it's Coutinho hasn't really been doing anything in the Watford game. Obviously, they played well against Leeds, but that's Leeds, right? Everyone plays well against Leeds. So I don't know if Willock is going to be a good shout to go for, and that's why kind of what I'm going towards at the moment. And obviously Kane played well. I had one big kind of my last 50-50 move towards the end, and it could have gone either way, was Kane and Saka or Son and Lacazette. That was my basically options, and I was going to and from on the wild card. Ended up going Kane and Saka in the end. I wasn't at any point going to go, you know, Saka and Laka or Kane and Son. It was only that combination. For this week so far, it's paid off. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen the second game week. Apparently, Kane came off with a back injury, but I think Conte came out and said today that he would play him even if he had one leg or something.
Yeah. He's like, he has to play. Yeah, he's just like, he has to play. He's like the best player, and the way that he played against City on Saturday evening, like, they set up perfectly for Harry Kane. Like, everything came out of the defence into Kane. Son, Kulusevski then ran on, and then Kane then sort of chases and gets back in there to take the chance, which he did in the end. So yeah, he's. I mean, if you got told at the start of the game week, yeah, Kane's going to get 13 points for the game week, you'd have taken that, wouldn't you? So.
Oh yeah, of course. Because you didn't expect him to get anything against City.
Yeah, and now he could potentially go and get another 13 points against Burnley.
Yeah,
potentially, and then yeah, it's a proper haul. Could he outscore Salah across the double game week? He could potentially.
maybe.
I don't think he will, but there's the potential there.
Right. Let's move on then to free hit game week 27. And as I said at the beginning of the episode, me and Rob are both on free hit. For me, it was the reason why I went free hit was because I went for treble Liverpool and treble Arsenal in my wild card, and so I'd be on about 7 players, and those 7 players aren't really the players that I would want in my free hit side. If we just go back to my wildcard side for a second, Rob, I'm just gonna have a look. So, out of the team that I've decided to go for so far in my free hit side, there's only 2 players in this squad that I've chosen for my free hit. Spoiler: Kane and Broha are the only 2. So that kind of gives you the reason why I'm going free hit, not because I can't do it without it, just because I think the gain is going to be. Even the side that I went for before, I'd set it up originally. This was before the fixtures came out, not to free hit in game week 27, and I was going to go in with it. I was going to have 12 players. I would have had 12 players playing for this week, but actually only 3 of them are in the side that I would my optimal free hit side. So that's why I've decided to free hit. So what was your team looking like, and how come you decided to free hit?
So my team wasn't looking too bad for game week 27. I only had Salah, Saka, and TAA out, but I had some tricky fixtures in there. I had like Bowen at home to Wolves. Like, it's not the greatest of fixtures. Jimenez away to West Ham. King and Dennis away to Man United. I mean, yeah, the rest. Soufal's got a flag on him, and hasn't been playing well either. So the possibility he might get dropped. Do you think?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I think I was going to be walking into the game week with a very, very weak side where I don't think it really scores more than between 20 and 30 points, and that would be a push, like hoping that Davies
Wow.
comes out
Big
with
difference.
I think if Davies comes out with a clean sheet, I need Davies to come out with clean sheet, Cancelo to return against Everton probably. I'd probably need Bruno to go nuclear against Watford, and then I might be in a good spot. It was going to be asking way too much, so I thought I've got 2 free hits, and one of them I knew I could use as a luxury to try and attack a week. So this actually is presenting me an opportunity to attack the week a bit more, especially with, like, if I wanted to attack the week, I'd kind of need to be getting rid of like Dennis and King are too cheap. I haven't got like the money to go from one of Dennis or King to maybe Veghorst or Broja, and it's I'd kind of want to be then moving one of Salah, TAA or Saka, and I wasn't too comfortable about that with then, because you're essentially booking in a transfer to bring one of them back. In future, especially Saka in 28-29. Watford away, and then he's got the double in 29. So I just saw it as an opportunity to be able to attack the week, attack the double for Burnley, and still have all of those players back, and then I can sort the Dennis and King problem out over 28 and 29. I think.
So
they double in 28 anyway, so I can move maybe King out in 28 for Broja, who's got the better double, and then work from there.
So how would you think is best for people to decide whether or not they should free hit or not? What do you think kind of the, I guess, recipe they should use to decide whether or not they should?
I think personally, if you've got more than like if you're taking a double-digit hit to field 10 or 11 players this week, play the free hit. I think if you maybe taking a -8 to get to 10 or 11 players, but you've got 2 free hits in the bank, use one of them, save yourself the 8-point hit, because you're probably going to end up taking more hits in 28, 29 because you're selling players that you want back. So
and also I think it depends on the players that you want. We're going to go through just now the kind of players and the teams. I think if you're getting the Burnleys and the Cities and the Spurs, and you've got those players already in, then maybe you don't need to free hit on a -8, for example. But if you make an ideal, I would say if you make an ideal free hit and you've got less than 3 or 4 players in your actual side compared to that side, that's when I would be taking a free hit. If you've got 7+ or 6+ even, then there's no need to free hit.
Yeah, I mean in my team, and probably for a lot of people's teams, a lot of people have got Salah and TAA. That's like 21, 22 million of your budget.
So to then
That's
get
potentially
good
sitting
players
on the
that you want
bench,
in,
which you could spend that on
Yeah.
free City players who have got they've got Everton, who are in like the worst run of form I think they've had in their history. So yeah, it's like it makes sense. Although, as I said before, I think if you only have one free hit, it's something that you have to take into account. How does your team look in a worst case scenario getting to game week 30? Because if it doesn't look good in that worst case scenario in 30, then a lot of people are going to be suffering, and it might not even, that worst case scenario, it might not even be worth free hitting anyway, because the player pool might not be there to have any upside to it. But yeah, having a look at that worst case scenario in 30, worst case scenario in 33, does your team, will you be able to make it through that without taking ridiculous amounts of hits to get there?
Right, so let's have a look then at the teams to target, and we'll kind of go through the teams that we think are the best to look at, and then some options from them. There's no point kind of like beating around the bush. Burnley have got a double game week. I think the main ones that people are looking for are Pope and Weghorst, and then one of me or Tarkowski or Roberts. That I would say, I would be amazed if if everyone didn't have Pope in their side who's free hitting.
Yeah,
The other option you've
Nick
got
Pope's
is
like he's the FPL double game week specialist, isn't he? Like he always comes out with a double digit haul. Like, and you just won't. Burnley could be playing the worst they've ever played, and Pope will still come out of a double game week with a double digit haul.
Yeah, I think I was contemplating, and this is on the basis that Tarkowski is fit. I was contemplating me and Tarkowski and Weghorst instead of Pope, but I just thought, Pope always does well in double game weeks. He's going to be highly owned. He could easily save a penalty or something. Let's just go with him. So I think those are your three. I don't think there's anyone else that you should be looking at outside of those three. Maybe Cornet, but Cornet came off at 59 minutes. I think Sean Dyche said something about his fitness recently as well, and his training regime. So I think he's not a doubt, but I wouldn't go for two Burnley attackers. Is what I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, if Cornet is fit to play Palace on Saturday, then he probably starts, but again comes off maybe before the hour, or even at half time, and then would play again against Burnley. But I can't see him playing more than 100 minutes across both games, which kind of makes him a bit of a non-option. Although he's one of those players in that side that is one of the best attacking options, if not the best attacking option. I think he'd a fully fit Maxwell Cornet across 2 games might do more than Wout Weghorst over those 2 games, but I don't think we've got a fully fit Maxwell Cornet, so I think it just makes him a non-option for the week.
No, I agree.
No
one else from Burnley. What's your thoughts on me versus Tarkowski if both are fit? I think I was listening to Planet FPL and James put it quite eloquently.
He's got a bigger head.
I would go with whoever's got the bigger head, and Tarkowski's got a bigger head than me. So yeah, I think that's the best way to kind of say it, right?
I think he's slightly more attacking threat. The hope is like they're playing against the 2 worst teams against set pieces in the league. So the hope is that there is an attacking return in there for one of them. You'd probably make, as long as Tarkovsky starts both games. He's a bit of a doubt at the moment for Palace, but if he starts that, you'd probably put him slightly ahead of me for that attacking return.
Okay, let's move on then to City. Is the next one, and again, I think Cancelo should be a lock in your side, and then a lot of people are thinking either double City and one City attacker, or Cancelo and two City attackers. The ones that most people are looking at the moment is Mahrez and Sterling. So Cancelo, Mahrez, Sterling. Other options, you've got Foden as well. What's your current thoughts around the City players and who you should be looking at?
So I listened to FPL Wire this afternoon. They had
With Luke on it, right?
Yeah, Luke DeSable, who's done some brilliant work with predicting City lineups, and I thought when I saw that he was doing upon they were going to talk about City for this week, I kind of beelined my way towards it this afternoon because everyone wants to know what's the most likely lineup for City this week, because when you're on a free hit, you want to have three players from the best team in the league, and who can, like, who do we think is going to start? Because I think we want, rather than double City defence, I think I'd prefer to have a double City attack, because the upside is just so much higher. Because you know that with the double defence, you've got Cancelo that can provide you with the attacking. The guys take out of the whole City squad, he's taken the most shots out of all of them. So you've got Cancelo, but Diaz, Laporte, Walker, like, I'm not seeing the potential for attacking returns. John Stones maybe, and it would be another case if it was John Stones, but because he was my double game week hero last year. But so my preference would be City attack over defence, and from that pod, what I took was the best two options, or best three options, apart from KDB, would probably be Gundogan, because he seems pretty nailed at the moment. Sterling, because he can play in the most positions across the midfield and the forward line, and Riyad Mahrez, because he's the most in form at the moment, and there's no need to rest him. There's no need to rest him at the weekend against Everton, when there's other opportunities along the line. They play Peterborough in the FA Cup next week. Like, Pep can put out the under-21s and probably get a result if he wanted to. So there's no need to rotate massively this week against Everton, and an away game, Liverpool chasing them. It's been said quite a lot now that the title is the destiny of the title is in Liverpool's hands. They win the rest of the games this season, they win the league. Simple as that. So I think City have got to sort of put their foot down, keep their goal difference up. So just in case that comes into account later on. They're going to be, I think, straight into fifth gear and going at Everton. Like, on the screen now, you can see the goal difference. They're on 46, Liverpool 44. It could all come down to goal difference. There won't be any risk taken. He'll play his strongest side.
So Cancelo, Mahrez, Sterling is what you think the best three options for City?
Yeah, but if you can't get to those three, then Gundogan, Foden are both options as well. Like, if you can't get to that combination of three, then you definitely can't get KDB in there. So yeah, Gundogan and Foden are also good options, I think.
Okay, so we've agreed so far 3 Burnley, 3 Southampton. Sorry, 3 Burnley and 3 City. Now we go on to Spurs, and I guess Son and Kane is a definite. They
Yeah,
should be in everyone's free hit, as
Yeah,
long
that-
as obviously no injury for Kane.
yeah, they're the only two that I'm looking at. Defensively, I still have my worries about them defensively. We know Leeds, like we saw it against United, they can switch it on for 10 minutes and score twice. And yeah, so I wouldn't be banking on any Spurs defenders. Out of the rest of them, I think Kulusevski, I think it's a big question mark whether he's a nailed starter. You've still got other players there that can play that right wing position. Like Lucas has been one of Tottenham's better players for a while now, so yeah, he could easily come back into the side. So I think it's just Kane and Son that I'd be going for.
So definitely Kane and Son. I do like Kulusevski. I've got him in my on my bench at the moment. I'm just kind of not 100% sure, but I think he should be a consideration or an option if you want a bit of a punt. Okay, so that's 3, 3, and 2. So that leaves 3 spaces for our starting lineup. Next team is United. So any absolute locks for United,
Bruno.
or is this where we're now punting territory, or is it everyone should have Bruno?
I think Bruno.
Okay, so interestingly, I don't have Bruno in my side at the moment. I've gone Sancho over Bruno.
I think Bruno, the upsides there. I think Sancho, if the game is relatively comfortable, he can easily be brought off, and he might not have had a return. But if it's comfortable, there's the possibility that there is the return from Sancho there. Yeah, he's got 3 assists in the last 3, I think. So yeah, I like Sancho. I think I still like Bruno more at the moment. Like we don't know. Ralph Rangnick could turn around and go, Sancho going to sit on the bench this week and we'll start Rashford, which would be unlucky. But yeah, I think I prefer Bruno at the moment.
Defensively, anywhere that you'd be looking at United, is it worth looking at the defense?
No.
A lot of people I've seen have Dalot and Shaw, etc.
Yeah, Dalot. I think if as long as you got bench cover, Dalot's okay. Shaw, I have a serious worry about at the moment. Like he hasn't played well for a while, but he's been getting away with it because Alex Telles hasn't been fit. Alex Telles is back fit now. I wouldn't be surprised if on Wednesday evening Alex Telles starts against Atletico. Because Luke Shaw has been awful, and he was at fault for the Leeds goal on Sunday as well. We let Rafinha get past him at the far post when he should be there in front of him, stopping him from getting the ball. We've seen it. Who did we play last week? It was Brighton. Against Brighton last week, the amount of times Luke Shaw plays a pass or loses the ball, and then suddenly he's on the back foot, and the player's past him. And it just seems to be a recurring theme. And Maguire's been bad, but this season it hasn't been great. But Luke Shaw, I think, has given Maguire a lot of problems. I think he's been very poor, especially with the standards we saw that he'd set himself back in the summer for England, He'd set himself these really high standards. He was keeping Chilwell out of the England side, and yeah, he has not been not impressed this season at all. This is a player that was, what was he, like 45% owned
at the beginning of the season. Yeah, it was
yeah,
massive,
and
absolutely massive.
I only brought him in because of his ownership.
Ownership, yeah.
So yeah, I would not be surprised if Telles comes in against Atletico, puts in a shift, and then keeps his spot against Watford, or Shaw has another poor game against Atletico on Wednesday, and Telles comes in against Watford. It's a good opportunity for Ralph to go, Luke, have a rest, sit on the bench, let's let Telles go out. So yeah, I think it's just Delo, and even then, I think it's have some bench cover because Wan-Bissaka didn't have a bad game against Leeds. He looked like he wanted it, and tried to be more progressive with the way that he moves forward, because that's what's keeping him out of the team with United is his attacking movement. He doesn't move forward with the ball enough. He's always looking sideways and backwards. So, and we saw him against Leeds trying to move forward and taking the ball on a bit. So, yeah, I just don't think I'd want any United defenders. Watford could easily score on Saturday. I don't think you're getting a clean sheet from a Man United defender.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of spaces left then. So 3 Burnley, 3 City, 2 Spurs, 1 or 2 United. So that's, Bruno and maybe Sancho if you want to go that way. So we haven't got much space left. So next team is Southampton. And everyone seems to be having Armando Broja in their side.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the value involved. And I think from Southampton, there's 2 players where there's value involved, where you've potentially got 2 players starting against the worst team in the league at home, and I think there's even an argument really for 3 players. So yeah, Armando Broja, Tino Livramento. I think to sit in, like if you're going with a back 3, like on a free hit, I'd prefer to have a back 3 anyway. But from what we've got here, it sounds like it's going to be a back 3. So Tino Livramento in that back 3, you've got another attacking fullback, and then I think even James Ward-Prowse, I think, has a there's. I think if you wanted to have someone that's really punty, so instead of Kulusevski, maybe James Ward-Prowse, I think you know that you're going to get 90 minutes out of him on corners, on free kicks. He's generally all the play goes through him. He could be a nice little punty differential. So yeah, I'd say there's a third Southampton there for you.
Well, one thing I've noticed, having built this free hit side and kind of looking around Twitter, there very much seems to be a template, and we've essentially named that.
Oh, we've named the template.
We've essentially named the template, and I think a lot of people, when they're going for free hits, they want to using it as a differential. They want to use different players to go in. I think with this week, it's a case of not trying to be too clever. A Twitter bubble is just a Twitter bubble. The majority of people aren't going to be using their free hit. So going for the optimal side on a free hit, which is what we've essentially named and what we think is the best side, it is not the wrong thing to do. You can try and take your punts, for example, Sancho and not have Bruno, but then Sancho could get 2, and if Bruno gets 15, then you might be a lot of non-free hit sides might be having Bruno in their side, so then you're falling behind from non-free hit sides now for going against popular players from the free hit as well as the non-free hit, not going with Kane and Son, etc. So I think it's trying not to be too cute with it and actually just going for the people that you think are going to be scoring you the most points, rather than going differentials for the sake of it. That said, if we do want to take any punts, let's go through some of the sides that we haven't mentioned yet, and if there's any one that we can think of that is worth going for. If there isn't, just say there isn't. No point just naming players for the sake of it. But so Norwich, they play Southampton away. Anyone that you'd be looking at Norwich?
No.
No, agreed. Leeds play Tottenham.
No.
Anyone that you'd be looking at Leeds?
No,
No,
not even
Rafinha
Rafinha.
potentially. Not even Rafinha.
I think there's alarm bells were rung when he didn't start in their biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
Like there's
Agreed.
huge alarm bells there.
Okay. Brentford and Newcastle.
Brentford, no. Newcastle, maybe Willock.
If you're wanting to punt.
Yeah, if you fancy the punt. I mean, moving forward, if you're not on the free hit, someone like Dubravka, like with that double, because he'll pick up, say, like for him, it's not losing the clean sheet. It might not necessarily be that bad because he might still get 3 or 4 points. Like he might pick up a couple of save points. So yeah, I wouldn't mind Dubravka across those two, but yeah,
Okay.
other than that, yeah, not much at the moment from Newcastle.
Brighton or Villa?
Villa, I still like Coutinho. Again, more for the non-free hit because of the double against Southampton and Leeds in 28. Yeah, Coutinho, Luca Dean. Yeah, I think he's the best option defensively now. Like we've said, he's been a great asset for Everton for years, and I think it's just the way that Everton side are now. He couldn't do much in it, but he's playing in a better Villa side. I think that result last week, I think it might just been a bit of a blip for Villa. I think they're a team that when they want to turn it on, they can turn it on. So yeah, Luca Dean would be one
Palace?
from them. Palace, Zaha, I think's worth a punt. Other than that, no one else.
Okay. Watford?
Nah.
No.
No,
Everton?
like Josh King or Dennis will return on Saturday, but I won't punt on it. I know that like United won't keep a clean sheet, but there's Ismail Assar as well. Like one of them will pick up a return, but I wouldn't be able to say who, and I wouldn't advise anyone to punt on it.
Okay. And Everton?
The kit man. There's no way in hell that I'm touching Everton. They just look. I honestly think like if they don't pick up anything against City and Spurs, I think they're already in a precarious situation. I think they're right down in it, and I'd probably make them like my third. Like we think that Norwich and Watford are probably going down. Burnley have got those games in hand. I think if Everton don't pick anything up in their next two, I'd probably make them the third team out of my favourites to go down. Sadly, because I think they're one of the big clubs in the league, but there's something fundamentally wrong with them in the background at the moment. They just can't seem to click and get it right, and it's now showing on the pitch in a really bad way.
West Ham and Wolves.
I think that's probably going to be one of the better games of the weekend, but I don't think I fancy anyone from it.
tough, isn't it? That's going to be a very tight game.
Yeah, I think it'll be, like as I said, one of the better games across the weekend. But yeah, I wouldn't fancy anyone really, because Wolves, like as we've said earlier on, Bowen's probably the only West Ham asset, but this Wolves defence look pretty solid.
Hmm.
So yeah, you'd expect it to be another like 30-yard shot off someone's knee or something like that that can go in. So yeah, and likewise with Wolves, they don't look like they're full of goals, which
Yeah.
yeah, and the goals could come from anywhere at the moment.
And then the final side, Leicester.
They're very much like Everton, that I just don't like the look of them at the moment. But I think like it's a shame really, because they've got Burnley, then they've got Leeds, two great fixtures, and then they play Arsenal. I mean, Brentford's a decent fixture, and then United. Like you'd, I think if you're a full strength Leicester side, you'd want a couple of assets from them. You'd want like a Barnes, a Maddison, a Vardy from them, but because yeah they've had these injuries and they just haven't really seemed to get going at all this season. I think they're an avoid at the moment. But like who knows? Like Vardy could be a couple of weeks away when they play Brentford. He's a legitimate captaincy option in game week 30 because they'll be one of the few games that is guaranteed to be on. So yeah.
Okay, well, we've gone through all the sides now, that options for your free hit, so hopefully that will help. I guess the last question to answer, which I found the toughest this week, is who to captain. As I think it's really 50-50. It's tough. You go for a Burnley player who've got Palace away and Leicester at home. Do you go for their defence, or do you go for Weghorst? Or you could go for a single player in Tottenham playing Leeds, Kane or Son, or one of the City attackers in Sterling or Mahrez, etc. Where are you kind of sitting at the moment, Rob? Because I think this week's really tough.
Yeah, at the moment, I've got the captaincy on Weghorst, but it could easily be Harry Kane come deadline. I think it's going to be one of those that I like flick between the two constantly, and then on Saturday morning I'll make my mind up. I think it's a tight call because I think the upside from Kane's so high, but you've got the number of minutes that Weghorst is going to have to produce some returns, and he looked like. Did you see his goal on Saturday? It was a great. It was a great finish. Like he looked
No,
sharp.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he looked sharp. I mean, against United, he was brilliant, and I'd fancy him to get some form of return in both games.
He's 6'6", and Palace and Leicester are shit at corners.
Yeah, corners, free kicks, everything. The problem with Burnley is they have no one that can consistently deliver from set pieces. Like if you stuck Ward-Prowse in that Burnley side, Weghorst comes away with like 5 returns across the double or something ridiculous. But they're going to Burnley are the sort of team that are going to be pumping the ball in to the box. They're going to make these defences work aerially, and I think more from open play, Weghorst is going to be he's a massive target, and he's good with the ball at his feet. He's a brilliant player with the ball at his feet. Who was it? I think it was actually Ralph Rangnick that spoke about him a couple of weeks ago. Well, before the Man United Burnley game, and he said his strength isn't in the air. This Wout Weghorst's strength is actually the ball coming into his feet, because like he can control it well, and he can turn, he can use the ball well. he just happens to be 6'6" as well. Yeah, he's not like a modern day Peter Crouch. That just just do, and even he wasn't even great in the air, was he? So yeah, I'd yeah fancy him to get something, but it's just Harry Kane. Harry Kane again, like a lead side that looked pretty like Man United should have scored more. I think if the weather wasn't, if it wasn't pissing down with rain for 90 minutes and the pitch was a bit drier, yeah, Man United just they'll they would have scored maybe 5 or 6. If it's a little bit drier on Saturday, then we might see the same from Spurs.
Okie doke. Well, I think that's pretty much it covered for free hit, and I don't think there's anything else that we've missed. Anything else that you can think of, Rob, to discuss on with regards to Game Week 27?
No, just I think yeah, it's made me rethink a little bit because yeah, there is that template that's there, but maybe trying to find just one differential where you're not going to be scoring the same as what a lot of people on free hit. But we've also got to think that that Twitter bubble is just sort of 20,000 people out of 8.5 million players. So, like, if the Twitter bubble is all free hitting, doesn't mean there's 8.5 million free hits out there. There's probably only going to be a couple of 100,000 free hits.
Yeah.
Maybe even less. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about being too template, but yeah, if you can find a one player that can possibly sort of get some returns that gives you that extra little gain, then yeah, I'd go with that over the player that you're not too sure about. Like say you're Kulusevski, maybe yeah, don't have him and get a differential in that you start and hope that goes well. I think like James Ward-Prowse could fit the bill with that.
Okay, doke. Right, did you want to give any league updates or anything else before we end the show?
Yeah, let's have a look at the mini league as we're halfway through game week 26. Who have we got in 10th? Down to 10th at the moment is Srirag Sasidaran. I'm going to say it's that. In 9th, we've got Paul Welsh, 74 points he's on at the moment. He's up. Scott down to 8th with 65 points. Jatin Malik down to 7th with 60. Jonathan Theobald up to 6th with 68. Afzal Razik up to 5th with 74 points. Matthias Björg down to 4th with 61 points. Our good friend Pontus down to 3rd. He's only got 42 points this week. Pontus Gunlik. Up to 2nd, Patricia Hart. She's been in the top 10 for quite a while this season. 75 points at the moment. And number 1 is still James Twiddy with 70 points this week. He's 43 ahead of Patricia in first place. So yeah, James still gunning for that Jesse Lingard Arsenal shirt.
Nice. Anything else before we go?
No, yeah, just remembering as you said before, like if you're weighing up that one free hit that you've got, just double check, have a look at game week 30, game week 33. What are the worst case scenarios? How many points is it going to cost you to get a team out in those game weeks? And then decide whether you're going to free hit. Don't just play the free hit this week because everyone else is, because as I said a couple of minutes ago, not everyone else is free hitting. It's just a very small bubble on Twitter. So yeah, just look at your team. How does this week suit your team? And well, how does the next 5-6 weeks suit your team? Because your team might be all right for next week, and you might find yourself, maybe regretting it using that last free hit.
Nice, man of many wise words.
Wise
Right,
words.
cheers, Rob. Thanks for tuning in. You can find us on Twitter at FPL_Happy Hour. We're also on a number of podcasts, and our YouTube channel is FPL Happy Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share, and all your retweets are appreciated. Until next week, have a great week. Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.